she said, I never wanted you to be strong. She said, I just wanted to know that I wasn't the only one suffering. Nobody asked, how are you doing?
Yeah.
So, and because I was like, I didn't care about myself. This is her. This is what she's dealing with. I never even thought to myself, how am I feeling?
Right.
So it was all about her at that time.
Welcome to the Hope Over Coffee podcast, a place where we believe that life is better when we know and are known by others. We're here to stir your soul, ignite your passions, and help you find the hope that you've been searching for. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the conversation as we dive into the topics that matter most. We are excited to share this journey with you, and we hope that you will join us every step of the way. Here we are again, back with another episode of the Hope Over Coffee podcast. I am your host, Jared Oj, and I want to thank everyone that joins and listens to these episodes. I'm so grateful. It's crazy that it's not huge, and I'm not looking for huge, but like the amount of people that are actually coming to me now and saying, "Hey, I listened to it. Hey, I listened to it," and like you see the counts go up on the on YouTube and mainly YouTube. Podcast one is kind of low, but it doesn't matter. I'm just thankful for everyone that listens, and I think it's super awesome that y'all do. So today, I have with me Mr. Aaron Cole. Aaron, other than saying you're a firefighter, man, I have no clue. I know nothing about you. So, if you wouldn't mind, would you introduce yourself to me and to everyone else, and if you don't mind, tell us some of your story, and let's just see what happens.
Basically, my childhood it was an awesome childhood, really. Like, you hear so many people that had a rough childhood. I had a great childhood. We were in church every Sunday, and it was, just Jesus was a staple in our house. We, we prayed every night, prayed before meals, the whole 9 yards. So, I never went without. I didn't have any real struggles growing up. To parents that loved me and would do anything for me. My dad worked so many side jobs, so that way we didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was provided for. So, my childhood was really great. And then the years go by. Going to church on Sundays just kind of started being routine. And it was never like a want from me. It was just the routine that we had to go to church on Sunday. And so that really kind of showed when I got to high school. Because I was always taught, treat people the way you want to be treated, love everybody, respect everybody. And, basically that's the kind of rule I thought people live by as well. We all, I was very sheltered, as you could tell. We're all, we're supposed to love each other. This world is awesome and all that stuff. So when I got to high school, I was really shell-shocked. That's not the world as it is. My high school years were pretty rough. I was bullied a lot. There was one instance where a kid would pull a knife out on me and stuff. I know you can't tell now, but I used to be 90 pounds in high school. So I was just walking sticks. Right. And so did you go to school around here, or where'd you grow up at? Moss Bluff. Moss Bluff, okay. Born and raised, still there today. Gotcha. So yeah, I was just a walking pile of sticks, basically, and people saw that as a way to kind of boost themselves up. So, I would get jumped in public areas. It got so bad I would wind up just eating lunch in the band hall because I was in band, just because that was where I could feel safe. Band nerd. I know, right? We stick together, nerd. Man. God's got a way of reuniting us all together. So, but yeah, I was, that's where I was at during lunch periods. I was in the band hall because that was safe. So, and that was also during the age of when cell phones were kind of just coming about. So the teachers really didn't know how to handle bullying outside of school. So, because when my parents went to school, my dad was bullied. Like, it's more common than it should be. So he was just saying, just leave it at school, because that's what they did. They left it at school. Well, now cell phones are a thing now.
Right.
And they're not staying at school anymore. So they were, that was unfamiliar territory for a lot of people. So like, people would call me from blocked numbers, leaving messages that, I really can't repeat. And just, so it wasn't left at school. It was definitely brought home. And because of those years in high school, I really developed anxiety, the sense that everybody's out to get me. I was very paranoid because even my so-called friends in high school stopped being with me because, they didn't want to be seen with me. And some of them even jumped in on the bullying aspect. So high school was very, very, very rough for me. And, that really, really broke my childlike faith growing up because of the world.
So were you in public school all the way up through high school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And it just kind of peaked at high school. People are trying to figure out who they are and stuff like that. And, kids are bringing their problems from home to high school, and it's just a vicious cycle. But that did have a huge impact kind of on, my young adult life, because high school is supposed to mold you into the person you're going to become. So I was already starting off on a wrong foot, you could say. Mm-hmm. So, but then after high school, I get a job, I move out on my own. And it was at that point where I didn't have an accountability system. So I quit going to church, and I just kind of decided, like, this God that I've been following, he's done nothing for me to this point. I've trusted in you, and you've gotten me beat up. I'm paranoid all the time. I can't trust anybody. So, I think I could do life better on my own than according to what you say I should do. Right. And that's when I kind of stepped away from the faith that I was raised at, was when I got out on my own. So, when I got on my own, you have when you step away from God, you have no real direction of what's right and wrong. And I'm on my own. I'm still, hurt from the past, high school stories and stuff. So yeah, I'm living on my own. I have no direction of what's right and wrong in my life. I just kind of start living for me, basically. I'm going to do what I want to do, the way I want to do it. I can run my life better than God can. So I have no accountability system at that point, and I kind of started that at that point in time. I started a very long pornography addiction, and it really just started off as being curiosity, and then it just turned into enjoyment, and then it would just, in every sense of the word, consume me. Because in high school, I was told I'm not enough, you don't matter, this world will be better off without you in it. And then when I'm on my own and I get caught up in pornography, these images tell me everything I want to hear. Right. So that's where I found acceptance from. Mm-hmm. And so that really hardened my heart. Like that phase, those, I think it was 10 years I had an addiction, and it was dark in every sense of the word. People don't think pornography is that big of a deal, but it is. Yeah. You're like, really I'm not hurting anybody. Right. And it's like, man, you are hurting yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Way more than you'll know. So did you go out looking for it, or was you introduced to it, or you just it was on TV shows, they're talking about it on TV shows and they're making jokes about it. So I just thought that's what we were supposed to do as men. Yeah. Was partake in that. That is like the culture's mindset of that's just what every guy does. Yeah. Pornography, everything else is just, that's just what guys do. That's what it is. People talked about it at work, sharing photos at work, and I just thought it was normal. That's what we do as men. So I wanted to be normal. So got caught up in that, and it's not normal. It causes so much damage to you that you don't even realize. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm living for myself, like I said, And then one day I get a text from my cousin, and he goes, hey man, there's this girl you got to meet. And I say, no, thank you. And I sent it because, the trust issues, I don't want to get close to anybody.
Right.
So he kept hounding me and just was like, come on, man. He actually invited me to his job. He's like, come take me out for lunch. And I said, okay. And he actually wound up, while we were there, I had no clue. He introduced me to the girl's grandmother because they worked together.
Uh-huh.
And we started talking and all that stuff. I just thought it was a casual conversation. And then I left. We go, we do our lunch and I leave. And he texts back, dude, she loves you. She wants you to meet her granddaughter. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? I thought we were just grabbing lunch together. So he sent me her number and was like, just message her. So I said, fine. So her account, she didn't even want to go on the date either because her grandmother was doing exactly what my cousin was doing. You got to meet this person.
Set up.
So we were like, fine. We'll go on a date just to get our family off of our backs. Mm. And she lived out, I feel really bad for this. She lived out by Burton Coliseum at the time.
Okay. And
I lived in Moss Bluff. So I said, I was being very selfish. I was like, I don't want to go on this thing. So you're going to come meet me. So we did the restaurant where Los Panchos is now. It was like 2 minutes from my house in Moss Bluff. I said, let's eat there because it was a 2-minute drive. I didn't know where she lived. And she wound up driving 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long drive south of town.
So
a long drive.
Yeah.
For us, it's a long drive.
So it was a long drive, especially at like 6 o'clock at night when you're driving. So first date, we wound up closing the restaurant down. We just sat there and talked all day. And that would be the first day that I will spend with my wife now. Later on, I'd ask her to marry me, and we got married. Mm-hmm. And, life's going great. I'm still, at this point, living out my desires in pornography, and I kind of just don't talk to her about it.
Right.
So I did the old phrase, when I get married, I'll stop. And then got married. And then if we have kids, I'll stop. Mm-hmm. And just, I never wanted to stop. I had no control over it. So, and then my story kind of takes a turn. Mm-hmm. I remember it very vividly. She comes to me one day and she says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." It was very early on in our relationship, and I was like, "Holy smokes!" I was like, "Okay." So we start telling everybody. We tell all of our family and our friends, and they were shocked, but they were pretty happy for us. And I remember it very vividly. This is ingrained in my mind. We were hosting a Super Bowl party, and it was a Super Bowl with the Patriots versus the Seahawks. And Malcolm Butler makes the game, winning interception, and my whole house was going crazy because it was an incredible game. And we were walking everybody out, and we just told the last person that we wanted to tell, hey, we're pregnant. She got all happy and excited. I closed the door, and right when the door clicked, Allison just goes, "Ouch!" And I look and I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, "Nothing. I just had a sharp pain in my stomach." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Are you good?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go lay down." So I said, "Okay." She goes, lays down in the bedroom, and then I do our, the men, we gotta do the walk through the house, make sure all the doors are locked, and then I walk in, and she's on the floor. Mm-hmm. And she's just screaming out in pain. And the first responder in me kicks in.
Right.
I'm not a husband anymore. I'm at work. So I scoop her up, put her in the car, and we rush to the hospital and rush to the emergency room. And they couldn't tell us anything, but we kind of knew what was going on. And we were there for 5 hours. And they wouldn't tell us anything because nobody wanted to break the news to you at that time.
Yeah.
But we got it. We kind of knew, but that night she had a miscarriage.
Oh, man.
And that was extremely tough for us. So what do? I got to be a man. I tell her, we're going to be okay. She's devastated. Mm-hmm. And I'm just I got to be strong. I can't have any emotion. We're going to get through this, me and you, like we always do. So I shut off my emotion side from her. And I was just almost strictly business with it, I guess. I didn't want to I just wanted to put it past us and move on and just forget about it, basically. But I didn't allow myself to grieve at the time.
Yeah.
So
okay. So from high school to the date was how long?
I bet it was about 2 years.
2 years. And then from date to marriage.
She's going to be listening to this going,
you should know this. Why do you not know this?
When was it? I want to say about 2 years as
about
well.
2 years. Okay. And then, so when did you start being, because you said, which I know you're like a first responder, firefighter, just because of coming in, but when did that, where in that 4-year time frame did you start being?
For the fire department?
Yeah.
It was probably right when we started dating. I was working there because I'd always volunteered there, and then they had a position open, so I just jumped on board. So it was probably I started in 2014, and we got married in 2016.
Okay.
So when I graduated in 2011,
that's all you've ever really done was being first responder, firefighter type person. Okay.
And to make it worse, both my parents are in law enforcement.
All right.
So
bunch of heroes.
Black sheep over here. I was like, Sunday lunches are interesting with me and my dad about who the real hero is.
You're all heroes.
That's right.
You're all heroes because, you know, I'm in that instinct of, oh, there's fire over there. I'm going to run that way. I don't want to run toward it.
Right.
You know, our policemen, like, they run toward the danger. I was never military. I never, like, none of that. I'm kind of super passive and like, that doesn't interest me.
I tried the law enforcement route because it was like in the family, and I'm like, I'm super passive, and I was like, this is not for me.
For when I was younger in high school, probably for a split second, I thought about medic. Like, like ambulance, and then that went away, and I was like, that's not me. I can't do it.
So yeah, we got the bloodline for first responders, I guess you can say.
Yeah. So then when this happens with her, you're actually quite used to probably emergency situations.
Right.
Things happening. And I guess like you said, in that moment, I feel like what I heard you say was basically in that moment, your emotions you just shut down. Yeah. This is business. I got to take care of her. I got to get her to the hospital. I know this is bad. Something's going to happen. And so from the point of the miscarriage, was there actually a point when you actually grieved the loss? Ever?
No.
Never?
No. I mean, there was years later.
Right.
Down the line. But at that time, no.
Yeah.
I never allowed myself to grieve. And you know, that time it is a lot for the women. It really is. People were asking me, you know, and that was tough too, because I had to take on the responsibility of letting everybody we just told we were pregnant, we're not pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was met with a lot of, well, that stuff happens. And so that kind of just fit into this is normal. This happens. We need to just move on. And so everybody's asking, how's Allison doing? How's Allison doing? But nobody ever asked, how are you doing?
Right.
So, you know, how's Allison? Oh, we're doing good. You know, just lying 100%. We're doing good. She's on the couch, hasn't moved in 3 days. And because she's bedridden, they told her, you can't do anything. You need to just do that. And then, you know, with a miscarriage, like, their bodies are jacked up.
Right.
And
yeah, because it's a sudden shift of hormones, right?
Right.
Because their body's building up for the moment of
yeah.
birth, and then this is just...
And it's like, so she's trying to figure out what's going on with all that, and, you know, I'm just business, like, what are we doing for lunch? She's like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go to somewhere, and so... So, but yeah, but during that time, you know, nobody asked, how are you doing?
Yeah.
So, and because I was like, I didn't care about myself. This is her. This is what she's dealing with. I never even thought to myself, how am I feeling?
Right.
So it was all about her at that time.
So what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, from high school up until this point, you were very unseen, unheard, And when you were seen and heard, you were being minimized.
Yes.
And everything. So, no doubt, you turn to pornography as your coping mechanism. I say no doubt. Other people, you can turn to other things, but I feel just because I know what I went through in those moments of wanting to be significant, that's what I turned to, was pornography.
Pornography is definitely where I found my acceptance from.
Yeah.
During that. That was my coping mechanism. I didn't turn to God. I didn't turn to fellowship. That's, I lived for when Allison went to bed, just so that's when I could, quote unquote, get my fix and get on to the next day.
Yeah. Because I've said this in groups. I can't remember where I heard it, or I just pieced it together. I can't remember. Might have been a Larry Crabb thing. I don't know. Men want to be significant. Right. We all want to be significant, and we all want to be secure. Men want to be more significant than secure, and women want to be more secure than significant.
Right.
So yeah, you've headed down this path of finding your way to be significant in your own mind.
Right.
Okay.
And then kind of to make it worse, it was around that point in time where I had this, like, my best friend in high school. He was like rock solid with his faith, and he would always kind of help me, like pour into me when he could. He was always like nudging me, "Hey, you want to come to my church?" and all that stuff. And I would, no, I'm good. Yeah. And then during this point, he went off to college, and he actually came back and he told me, in not so many words, I'm stepping away from the faith. Mm-hmm. So that was like, this is the guy I looked up to with that. So this is just securing that this isn't something I want to be a part of if he's stepping away from it.
Right.
So all that happened around the same time. So I just pressed into the, living for myself. I'm going to make my own path and all that. So, we're kind of trying to get past the miscarriage and stuff. We're trying to figure out what normal is at this point. Mm-hmm. Because ever since I've known my wife, she's always wanted to be a mother. That was her goal. Whenever our first date, she's like, "I want to have kids." That's a deal breaker. I was like, "Well, I want to have kids too." So this was really hard for her. And this is the part of my story I always laugh at. I tell people I don't like telling this because it's just weird. So I had some people that I knew. I refrained from using the words friends because I never got close to anybody because my high school years, I didn't want to get hurt again. So my wife was the only person I would like get somewhat close in, but I still had my own secret life that she didn't know about at the time. Right. So they were like, "Hey, we're doing this flag football league. You should come out and play." And I was like, "I'll give it a shot." And I go out there and I was really good at it. I was I was diving for flags, and I was so young. I was so young back then. I can't do that now. So, I was diving for flags, and then everybody would come by and watch these games, and the crowd would cheer when I would dive and, do a flag pull and all that stuff. And it was a legit league where they had a bracket and everything, a championship game. So now I feel like that bullied kid from high school, he's gone. Mm-hmm. I'm basically a jock now in my own mind.
Right.
I'm being asked to go out to parties and hangouts, and people are calling me just to, we're living in our glory years now, and we're talking about our plays on the field. And
right.
It was, you could pencil in and somebody was going to talk about something I did on the field, and it was the greatest feeling in the world. I was like, I've made it. Mm-hmm. Like, my narrow-sightedness, this is life. I'm at the peak right now. And we wound up winning the championship game one year. We beat a team that hadn't lost a game in 5 straight years, and we actually beat them in the championship game. And I'm up to here.
Yeah,
that's my Super Bowl. I'm on top of the world right now. So I start thinking, man, this life I've built is pretty good right now. And that was just kind of, looking back on it now, that was another way of me escaping my problems. Was I go out and play football, and they don't know who I am. They just know this guy on the field, and they
Right.
like what they see. So if they, in the lies, my stories are built on the lies in my head. You know, if they knew who you were, they wouldn't want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
If your wife knew what you were doing, she'd leave you.
Yeah.
And that's a very uncomfortable place to be in, really. You know, that's just another aspect of the paranoia. And I tell people all the time now, it's a very scary place being left alone with your thoughts, especially if you don't know whose voice is popping in your head. Because at the time, I couldn't differentiate God from the enemy, you know, who was talking to me, because I didn't have a relationship with God. So I didn't know what he sounded like, what he wants for me. So, and then the next year, we're champions. We're coming in. We spent all off season practicing. We're gonna repeat. We're the new top dogs, and it was the second game of the year, and I made a play, and the quarterback had ran to his left, and I went to cut him off, and then my knee popped 3 times, and I hit the ground, and I knew what it was. The next day, the doctor said, you didn't tear your ACL. I said, great. He said, you blew your ACL.
Oh.
He said, it's not there anymore. So this life I built just got taken away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm left alone in the dark going through physical therapy and surgeries. And that was a really dark time for me because I can't run away from my emotions. I'm just sitting here. You know what I mean? Like, so I just the voices are coming back like, you know, nobody cares about you. Nobody's reaching out to me. How are you doing? How's your knee? You know, all that stuff. It's almost like I'm getting hurt again. I almost started to let myself get close to these people, and then I get injured, and their lives move on. Yeah. And nobody's reaching out. So it's like...
Did you feel like they were only in love, quote, in love with the star?
100%.
Yeah.
The person I let them believe who I was, in a sense. They were... That person's not there anymore, so they're moving on. So that was rough, but it was also almost during that time where I started rethinking about what my friend told me. You know, how he stepped away. And he didn't believe because it doesn't make sense to believe. So I started thinking about, if God's real, there's got to be some evidence for him to be real. And I spent my whole rehab just kind of studying the apologetic side of Christianity and seeing the evidence for God. And, you know, I did that for 6 months, and I was like, you know, it takes more faith to be an atheist than to be a Christian at this point, because it's not even close comparable. So it's almost like I knew about God, but I still wasn't ready to believe in him. Did
you read any stuff from Frank Turek?
No, I read Lee Strobel, and I listened to J. Warner Wallace. I actually went to a couple debates. I haven't read his stuff yet. I'd be interested to read his stuff. I'm always looking for new stuff to read.
Frank Turek is really good. He's got he puts a lot of stuff on YouTube as well.
Really?
He actually came to Lake Charles 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
He went to McNeese. He goes to different campuses and he does it. And his book is called "I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist."
I think I did see that book, and I have it in my shopping cart somewhere.
He is phenomenal. Like, I love watching him do, you know, the apologetic side of stuff, because he's up there and he's just rattling stuff off that he hasn't. I'm like, man, how do you know that? Like, how do you keep that all straight in your
100%.
head? Yeah. But no, he's got some really good stuff. I would recommend finding him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always looking for new stuff now, just because that kind of stuff interests me now, I would say. Yeah. So, and I really don't know what made me go down that path. I really don't. I think I just wanted to know for myself. So I realized, you know, cool, there's enough evidence for God, Jesus, the resurrection, all the 9 yards. So I had the head knowledge, but then I turned it to, how could he love me? You know, where I'm at right now. I'm a porn addict. My wife and I are struggling to get pregnant. I have no friends. You know, why would somebody go through what Jesus went through for me? Right. And I just left it at that and just kind of believed the lies of, nobody cares. Nobody cares enough about you to even call you. Yeah. So it was really dark at that time.
So you were laid up during all this?
Oh, yeah.
How long were you out for?
6 months.
6. Whoa. 6 months.
I should have been out longer, but I was getting stir crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like a 9-month recovery. So by that 6 month, I was like, I'm good. I need to.
How did that impact your job?
My job is, I'm very blessed to have the job I have now. We have 365 sick days at my job, so really no impact.
Okay.
You know, they were down a man, and injuries happen. We have guys out right now with shoulder injuries and Achilles injuries.
Well, yeah, and I think I told you we watched 911.
Yeah,
like you're literally running into danger.
right.
It's not. I don't think it'd be uncommon to get hurt. You know,
right.
Like workman's comp for a firefighter. What does that look like?
Luckily, it was off duty, so it just followed in as sick time.
Yeah.
So there was really no paperwork or nothing to do with it. So, but yeah, so I'm very blessed in that aspect. I didn't really, go. All they were like, when all I had to do was every doctor's appointment, let them know how it went.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much it.
After you do that part of your study, like diving into the apology, what was your next step in your marriage and your faith? Like what came after that?
Nothing changed really.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, because I say now, looking back on it, I didn't want a relationship because I just felt like nobody could love me.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like at that time I was like, cool, God's real. I'm saved now. And, that was
it.
Because I had the head knowledge. Okay, you exist. Cool. But nothing changed in my life.
Okay.
I just had the head knowledge. So, about a year goes by. Allison surprises me with a pregnancy test again. And this is our third pregnancy at this point.
Okay.
And the other 2 were miscarriages. She had another miscarriage while I was, after my ACL, I believe. And that one wasn't a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but that one just, it hit me. But it was like she was pregnant for like a week and then she wasn't.
Wow.
So, so she surprises me with a third pregnancy test and she's all happy. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I'm not even going to get my hopes up.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible to say that now, but that's what I felt. This is going to be a no.
Yeah.
I'm not. So and at that point, I thought I was being punished. And I think that's what prevented me ultimately from a relationship. God was punishing me for my pornography addiction with these miscarriages.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I don't want to follow. I don't want to believe in a God. I don't want to have a relationship with a guy like that. And it was so much, what am I doing wrong? After when we had the second one, I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So she surprised me with the third one. I'm like, do the fake. Yay, I'm happy. But just kind of reserved. I'm not all in.
Yeah.
And then that was the furthest along we got. And then she woke me up saying, I got to go to the hospital. Something's not right. She didn't have no pain. She just is like, something is not right. We're going to the hospital. So I said, first responder mode, click back in, like, let's go. Drive all the way over there. And when we pulled in, she is hunched over like she's in a different type of pain than she's ever felt before. And we're in the ER and it's chaos because they're like, well, you have to sign all this paperwork before we can let you in. And she's just like screaming and just doing that with signatures. They have to get a stretcher for her. She can't move anymore.
Yeah.
And, once again, we let everybody know. Like, hey, we didn't let everybody know, but we did let a couple people know. And so, I'm in the ER and I'm doing the text message. Hey, Allison's not feeling good. We're in the ER. Her stomach's hurting. So that day, basically, she had an ectopic pregnancy that day. And for those that don't know what it is, the egg passes through the tube and it got stuck.
Right.
So and it's 100% a God thing, looking back on it now, because she didn't have any pain. She said, we got to go to the hospital. Something's not right. She got there. They put her on morphine to stop the pain. And she was on morphine for about 15, 20 minutes. And then she's like, they're doing an ultrasound. And she's like, ow. They go, you felt that her tube ruptured, and she felt it through the morphine. Wow. And we were told if we weren't at the hospital when we were, she could have bled out and died. So because she had a feeling something wasn't right, that could have ultimately saved her life.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
So she's got to go to emergency surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And that wait in the ER just by myself, you know, my family, her family's coming, but like just waiting there by myself, it was rough because somebody has taken my wife away from me now, and they're, you know, actively trying to save her. And it's like, you know, once again, what am I doing wrong? You know, why, you know, I'm being punished because I'm still self-medicating with pornography at this point. So it's like, you know, I don't understand why this is happening to us. Why are we struggling so hard with this? So, but then the doctor come out like, it felt like 7 hours, but I think it was like an hour later. And he's like, everything went fine. She's great. And I said, well, how does this affect us having kids in the future? He said, it doesn't. It just decreases your chance by like 10%, is what he said. So, at that point in time, we were, you know, too familiar with the process from miscarriage at that point. So we just kind of go back into the same old thing and just start going through the motions of life at that point.
Mm-hmm. I know you can't speak for your wife, but did she let you know how she was feeling in the sense of, because again, going back to this significant security, but at the same time, I know just through my own marriage and dealing with my own struggles with addiction, pornography, and all that stuff, in the mind of a spouse, female spouse, is they usually turn toward, I'm not enough. I can't measure up to what you're expecting. Mm-hmm. I'm not enough. In the sense that she was want to be a mom so early and 3 miscarriages, did she relate to you her feelings of what that was like? Did she have that feeling of I'm not enough kind of thing or something? Like what was that like?
So she would try and I would shut it down.
Oh,
I would almost be like, you know, I'm a guy. Like, nope. Like, and she, you know, she would kind of relate those feelings to me, and I would go, well, you know, this. And I would just repeat the lines. This is common. This happens. I would never let her open up to me. I guess because I was still running, I didn't want to deal with it either.
Yeah.
So
I hear a lot of self-protection, like
yes,
a lot of self-protection, and I totally been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's a lot.
It was really tough, and so, you know, I just kind of, you know, continue to self-medicate and all that stuff, and just am like, I'm low. I'm like really low at this point. And you know, social media was a trigger for me. I'd scroll and then, you know, oh, we're pregnant. It's like, you know, all these people, this is our 7th kid. And we're like, dude, I can't even have one.
Okay. On the flip side of that, you as a husband and wanting to be a dad, like, what did it do to your mental state to be, let me word it the right way that I'm thinking about it. In your measuring up, in your sense of measuring up to being what it should be as a husband to produce children, like what was that? How was that affecting your daily life at that moment? As
guys, we want to fix things, and I couldn't
absolutely
fix it.
Yeah, that's our first go to. We can fix this.
Yes,
we can fix anything.
So, I can't, what am I, you know, that's what I was like, I want to fix it. How do I fix it? And I can't fix it. And ultimately at that time, I should have just pressed into God more and trusted more and just been with him more. But I was just broken. You know, I didn't show it. I still wasn't open up to people, had very few friends, didn't let anybody get close to me. Right. I was still, like you said, self-protecting myself. Didn't want to get hurt again. Big
self-protectors.
I didn't want to get close to anybody to get hurt again because, I mean, my wife is showing me these pregnancy tests and I start getting my hopes up and then we're getting told no. Yeah. So I just very much self-protected and just kind of just pushed all that down.
Stuff it down.
And it was getting to a point it was going to burst. So
Usually does.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, and it's really amazing looking back on all this, and I can clearly see where God was leading, where He was leading me. He never left me. As much as I thought He left me, like I legit thought I'm in the back of the class in the dark, and He's forgotten about me. And even though I never went to Him with anything, I just figured if He loved me, He would make this work, and that would be the proof that He loves me, almost. So this is where my story starts turning for the good.
Okay.
I'm at work one day, and I really don't know why, and this is 100% a God thing. I don't know why, but it was Edwin Patrick. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know Edwin.
We're working together, and he drives up, and he's got a Faith Walk sticker on the back of his truck. And I go, how do I get one of them stickers? And he goes, just sign up. And I said, that's all I have to do to get one of those stickers. He goes, yeah, it's that easy. And then I had another friend, DJ Myers. He was kind of like, dude, just sign up. He was pressing me too to sign up. And my question to Edwin was, he's like, just sign up. And I went, how far do I have to walk? And he goes, what? I said, I'm only good for I can push 2 miles. I said, how far of a walk is this Faith Walk? And he just started laughing. And he goes, I can't tell you.
I can't tell you.
So he actually did that same joke to his wife.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I signed up, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue, because he told me it was it's a Christian event that is 4 days long, and it's just to help you reignite your passion for Christ.
Right.
And honestly, I believe the lie of I'm good. I don't need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know God exists, but I knew He existed. So I really don't know why I signed up to this day. Yeah, because that's not like me. So I was like, screw it, I'll sign up. But I think deep down I was begging for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ultimately, there was something inside of you that was hungry and desire for some kind of relationship.
Right.
Or some type of something faith-wise.
Right.
That,
so, we leave to go, and I'm going to keep this vague because I feel the Faith Walk police just starting to creep down your driveway right now.
Faith Walk police.
So, so at Faith Walk, guys share their stories.
Yeah.
So,
which I've said it before.
Right.
It's 4 days. It's testimonies, a lot of eating, and you talk about stuff.
Right.
I mean,
so
that sums it up.
Split up into small groups, and a guy shares a story, and you kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
I had no clue going in what it was. I mean, Edwin was is a Faith Walk vet. He kind of kept that, under wraps. And if he would have told me what it was, I wouldn't have gone. So I was not going to open up to anybody. So I don't know what I thought. Somebody told me that never went. He's like, all y'all do is sit around a fire and sing Kumbaya. And I was like, well, I can do that for 4 days. So I go, and we get split up in our groups, and the first guy comes up and talks about a story.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the words, that is when my pornography addiction started. And I went speechless. I was sweating. And I thought, what did I get myself into? I'm trapped.
Yeah. You are.
I can't leave.
Yeah.
So that first day I was just like, man, how do I, because, they talk and then, okay, as a group, talk about what you heard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't talk. My table leaders were Dusty Lambert and Anthony.
Oh, there you go.
2 rock stars.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and I'm just like, not talking. And then the first day ends, and I'm like almost hyperventilating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrified. So, and then the second day comes, and it's more stories. And, Josh Cober gets up there and talks about his story. And he talks about how he had a miscarriage and how it affected him as a man. Mm-hmm. And I went, and he started talking about his emotions with it and stuff like that. And that was the first stone that broke my hardened heart. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, I never allowed myself to grieve. So we're talking, and then Anthony looks at me and he goes, what did y'all think about that? And I just went, That it took a lot of courage. I went, I know where he's coming from because I've suffered with miscarriages. And then he said the words that broke me. He said, how did that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And I just started crying. I don't even think I said a word. I just started crying. And, you know, we in that little thing, and I thought, they've got their cry out of me. That's all they want. They just want men to cry there.
They just want them to cry and feel emotional.
So you made me cry. We're good. We can move on. Because I felt the spotlight on me the whole time. And Dusty and Anthony knew too. They're, like I said, they're rock stars. They're very obedient to God. And then Ross gets up, tells his story.
Yeah.
And about, you know, his struggles in his life with all that. And I think he was on this show before, so you can go back and listen to his. And you can connect the dots.
Yeah. Dusty's supposed to be on here too. I gotta line him up. I gotta line him up.
So after that happened, you know, we started talking about how why men don't open up, and I don't know why I said this, and I said, I think they got me. They got me. I said, sometimes men don't open up because they're just afraid about how people are going to perceive their truth is. And then Anthony goes, well, that's not true at all.
Yeah.
And then Dusty goes, you know, I can remember it very vividly. He said, you know, I'm going to apologize for, he goes, you know what? I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to be very blunt with you. What are you hiding from? You could have heard a pin drop. I went, he goes, they're just looking at me. And I'm like, quiet, all that stuff. And then I'm trying to think, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? The room is empty at this point. Everybody's went to one of the meals, one of the 30,000 of them. So
there's not a walking, just walking to food.
Yes,
and
that's the walk part of it.
You're walking to the food and eating.
So we're sitting in this empty room, and then Anthony goes, well, we're going to pray for you, whatever you're dealing with. And I remember telling him, if you're going to pray for me, let me give you a reason to pray for me. And I said, I'm addicted to pornography. And I broke then. But also right then when I said those words, it was like all the chains, all the baggage was just pulled off of me.
Just lifted off.
And they prayed for me, and when they said amen, my craving went away. It was like just like that. And I've felt, you know, so much lighter. And but the thing that held me back from telling people was because they're going to laugh at me, because this is so stupid to be addicted to. You know, this is the dumbest thing to be addicted to in the world. But when men started talking about how they had a run-in with that and, you know, their process with it, you know, I felt I'm not alone. So I opened up, and it was at that Faith Walk 41, that I decided to give my life to Christ. I said, I'm done running. I'm done, you know, trying to do my life on my own. I'm so tired. It was exhausting.
It is exhausting.
I said, whatever you want for me, wherever it leads me, that's where I'll go. I'm done running away from you. So, and it was also at that Faith Walk where God spoke to me for one of the first times. And so throughout the struggles, I've always heard that God knows what you're going through. Through all the miscarriages, God understands your pain. And I just thought, that's just a lie. How could God understand my pain and what I'm going through right now? And then it was there where I realized that he did understand, because he told me I lost a child too. And that, you know, when I felt that, it just, our relationship just, that's where it started. And I pressed into him, and I told him everything, gave my life to him. I said, whatever you want from me, I'm going.
I kind of want to back up for a second and just kind of pause on it. Whenever you start talking about the miscarriages, and you broke. You said you broke. Because I'm sitting here, I have a tendency to kind of like play things out in my head, like in a movie. I see things in movies and pictures and whatnot, and I'm picturing that moment because I know the room, I know what it looks like. I know you kind of said it, but I think you kind of said it, but like, because that's hard. It's heavy. I'm having a hard time saying it because in that moment, I mean, I think you knew it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, I think you knew it, but it finally hit you that I've lost 3 children. I mean, did it hit you in that moment? Almost, like that?
Yeah.
Because that's what I see is like that moment of, yeah, I lost 3 kids.
Yeah.
That's,
and then it just slams me like, you need to,
and you didn't grieve any of it.
You need to work on yourself and not worry about the others. So that's where that healing took place.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth. This is just me playing out how I'm seeing it. And
I've worked several faith walks since, and that's kind of, I go back because that's where my life change happened. And that's where I don't know what it is, but when I go there, I hear clearly from God. And one of the times I went back to serve, he spoke to me again, and I remember thinking, I'm proud of myself. I haven't cried yet. Because ever since Faith Walk, I've been just a blubbering guy.
Oh, yeah.
I cry so easily. So
it happens.
And I remember sitting down just in the quiet one day, just, I just was like, God, I just want to be in your presence. And I think that this was probably a year later, and that was like where the final healing came. He said, your children are proud of you. And like, that broke me. So I think I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
But you're right. I lost 3 kids. And, where would I be right now if they were all, if they were all full term?
Right.
So.
Man. I can't. So, the closest thing that I can relate to that is, a long time ago, different church, we had, a couple in our small group that she had a miscarriage, and we helped them with the funeral part to the point where we went and dug the grave for them. Like, that it was that far along, dude.
Luckily, we never made it too far. We never made it out of the first trimester, with ours.
Still,
but any point is extremely hard.
Yeah.
And so I just had to grieve.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I grieved. I just had to just quit running from my emotions and just let it happen. This
comes up a lot on here in this setting. The lie of I feel like it's a lie that all men hear and believe is no one's gonna love me if they really knew me.
Yep.
I can't show emotions. There's another one I can think of, but anyway, that whole thing is just bull.
Yeah.
Is there a time to be the stern guy and take care of things? Absolutely. But there's also a time we have feelings.
Yes.
We're built with, God built us with emotions.
As much as we don't want them.
Yeah.
We have them, and
we just don't know how to deal with them. Okay. So from Faith Walk, which is a good tool. It is a good tool. It's a phenomenal tool in tool belt to have for encouragement in your walk. I don't know if I'm pushing ahead in your story or what. So from that point, I'm assuming your wife still didn't know about addiction yet.
I thought she didn't. Women are way smarter than we give them credit for.
Okay.
So, I say, God, whatever you want me to do, I'm doing it. And he's like, I need you to be honest. I was like,
yeah.
And so this is what it's like to be all in. We have to do the things that we don't want to do. So
you got to do the hard things.
She picks me up, parking lot, crossroads, and she's like, how was it? And she goes to turn onto the highway. And I said, before you turn,
I can't even make it out of the parking lot.
I said, I got to tell you right now. And I told her, I told her, I was like, look, this is what I've been doing. And she said, I know. And I went, she goes, I'm so glad that you told me and I'm ready to move on. because I was expecting her to be like, it's a good thing you have a backpack because you can just take that and you can find somewhere.
Yeah.
But she said, I've always known that. And I'm glad that you told me. And she said, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, part 2. And I talked about the miscarriages and, how I'm sorry that I wasn't there for her like I should have been. I'm sorry that I didn't grieve with you. I'm sorry that, you basically had to go through it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that, I never wanted you to be strong. She said, I just wanted to know that I wasn't the only one suffering. And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I thought I was helping with just, stone facing.
The stoic man of the house.
That's what I thought I was doing. So, well, yeah, we've put all that behind us, and now we go to church every Sunday. The greatest compliment I got was my wife signed up to go to the next faith walk because she said, I want what happened to you to happen to me. And that was like a great compliment to me. So she went, and she needed healing in her own way from everything we went through.
Yeah.
And she got that there. So where do we go from here? Life just the movie doesn't end. Yeah. So I told God, whatever you want, I'm saying yes to. So Brandon Alvarado, we've always been close. We kind of, we've kind of been close, so we were like, let's turn Moss Bluff on its head, and we started a nonprofit organization called Brothers Keepers Athletics, and where we use sports as a tool to get high schoolers and adults in. And our most attended sport is flag football. So full circle there. God knows what He's doing in that aspect. So now I've been asked to preach sometimes, share the gospel, and just really pour into these kids and let them know this is a safe haven for you.
Right.
Pretty much like I never had when I was in high school. So, and then, God led me there, and then He said, you need to proclaim your faith. So I hit up our chaplain at the fire department, Terry Artizone. I said, hey, I want to get baptized. And he was on fire, so I got baptized. And then I had to make sure that I didn't fall back.
Right.
Because, like I said, the movie doesn't end. The enemy's not going to stop just because I said yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If anything, he's going to ramp up his attacks. So I joined Fight Club, and God got me in Fight Club, kind of like you did in Faith Walk. I had a guy say, hey, I want to go to Fight Club, but I don't want to go alone. And I said, man, I'm good. I've given my life to God. I don't need that. I'm great. I'll go with you. It'll be good to see some Faith Walk people again. I'll go with you and just kind of get you introduced. He goes, okay. And I go in, and I go to leave. I go to leave that night, and then Andrew Guillot stops me. We went to high school together. He goes, hey, hey, Aaron, how you doing? We start talking a little bit, and then he goes, glad to see you. I'm going to put you in my group. And I go, okay. So then I feel obligated. I at least had to make a couple of these groups because this dude wants me in his group, and I haven't missed since. And it's been like 3 years ago, I think. I could not do my life without my Fight Club group. They're just solid dudes that the love they have for me is genuine. I couldn't go a week without talking to one of them. And that's what brotherhood is about. And being brothers in Christ. They definitely pour into me that. So, that I told them all my stuff, and they were just like, didn't scare them away. Like I still kind of was like, man, nobody wants to hear my story. So I told them all that, and then they just, man, that's like my second family almost.
Yeah. That is one of the aspects of, I think one of the better aspects, I guess you could say, of the Fight Club ministry. For anybody that does watch this and they're in some part of the world or whatever, Fight Club is a men's ministry that meets in small groups. But basically, it's a men's small group.
Right.
You start in large groups, put you in small groups, and you kind of deal with stuff. I think it does help men see that there are other men that struggle, and that you can be loved,
right?
Even with all your nasty, dirty little secrets that you hide from everybody,
right?
So yeah, no, that's a good thing. That's awesome.
So, thinking I'm doing great, and God gave me my Fight Club group right when I needed them the most, because Allison comes to me and is like, thinking about going to a fertility doctor and just doing seeing what's going on with this. I'm just like, that's still a touchy subject with me. I don't know why, but that was the final, hurdle, I guess, was to just kind of be all in on that. Mm-hmm. So, they figured out that she wasn't producing progesterone, and that's why, which is a vital hormone, and that's why we were having the miscarriages. So we were trying, and she was a trooper. She had to have shots every day for the progesterone, and she really stepped out in her faith in me. I showed up. She was off work one day, and I showed up to the house. She was listening to music in the back room, and I said, "What are you doing?" I walk in, she's painting. I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Painting the nursery. I'm preparing for rain." And I just went, wow. So, you talk about hold on, tight. So, my Fight Club group really helped me walk through those emotions. And I was like, I don't know why I'm having trouble, being supportive and all in, because I want to be reserved and all this other stuff. And then, I think it was the day after Father's Day, she was pregnant. And we did a bunch of fertility treatments and stuff. And that was the day where we were going to find out if everything worked. So I remember driving, because we were just sitting at the house waiting on a phone call because they drew blood. Yeah. And to see if she was pregnant. And I drove to Raising Cane's because that's her favorite place to eat. And I was like, I got to get out of the house. It's 2 p.m. We haven't eaten. And then I'm driving back. And I felt this peace, just like a wave over me. I was like, whatever the outcome is, we're going to be okay. And I looked at the time, and it was at that same time she got the phone call from the doctor saying, congratulations, y'all are pregnant.
Nice.
So that gave me chills. I was like, whoa. So what are we going to do? Are we going to be reserved in this? Are we going to...
Yeah, because I bet you're gun shy of 100%. Wanting to tell anybody.
100%. So I started believing if I don't let people in and they know me for everything, it's I was asked to speak at one of the Fight Club graduations, and I talked about this. If you don't let people in, then you're really preventing them from having a front row seat to view a miracle that God can do through you. Mm-hmm. So we told Fight Club group, the Faith Walk, our close Faith Walk people, and our family, and everybody was just ecstatic, and they're like, I'm praying for you. And I truly felt that, the prayer aspect, because as guys, it's still hard sometimes for us to reach out. Hey, I need prayers for this.
Yeah.
That's something that I still struggled with at that time. So, but man, they were great. Every day, every Wednesday. How y'all doing? What size is the baby and all that stuff, like a bunch of women. just, they're all excited. And then, so she was due February 22nd. And then December-ish, 15th, Allison started having issues. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, here we go. I was like, this is it. Her blood pressure was extremely high. She had I don't remember what, preeclampsia is what she had. She was hospitalized for 3 or 4 days. Her blood pressure was 183 over 104. And they were like, baby's doing great. You're not. Huh. So, I remember we were getting with her family. Somebody's got to be with her at all times just in case. And December 21st happened, and I walk into her room to basically relieve her sister. Her sister stayed with her all night. And we start talking, and I was like, what's the update? And they're like, we're hoping to push you, because, oh, man, I think she was 21 weeks at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she's not watching and I'm lying, but she was around that time. So
we're guys. It's going to be all right.
I don't know. I don't remember much back then. It was a roller coaster. I think she was 21 weeks pregnant. She just made 21. And the doctor was like, we're going to hopefully get you to 23 weeks. Well, their goal was 25. And I remember praying, God, if you could just be with her 25 weeks. And then the next day, we're hoping to get you to 23 weeks. God, if you can, I pray that she just gets to 23 weeks. And then the next day, we're hoping to get you by the end of the week. Because her blood pressure is not improving at all.
Right.
And so I walk in and we're talking. And then the doctor goes, how's today at 3 o'clock sound? And I went, for what? He goes, for the baby. It's got to happen today. And since surrendering my life, that was the first time like I was petrified, like scared out of my mind. So I left the room. Like I apologized to her later. Like I had to leave. She had her sister in there. She was good.
He said I had to go.
I was getting hot. I didn't want to pass out. So I walked out, told the family it's today. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I said, because I don't know if you've ever felt like your prayers aren't being answered.
A lot.
At that point, I was like, I'm not praying right. Or there's a bad connection or something. So God told me, if you can't pray, have your community pray for you. Which, like I said, that was like another hurdle, was telling people that I need prayer. So I just started sending text messages.
Right.
The Faith Walk group chat, my whole Fight Club, every person, Jeremy Hutto, Cober, all my Fight Club guys, Dust, everybody in Faith Walk, friends, just like, hey, we need prayers. This is happening today. And they were all like, praying for you, man. We're praying for you. You got this. And just some call to pray over me over the phone. And like Henry Iatesta drove to the hospital. And Bill Willis drove to the hospital.
Yeah. And
my mom's texting me, there's a lot of people out here I've never seen before. Are they here for you?
Who are these weirdos in the lobby?
And so at December 21st at 3 o'clock, our daughter Lillian Ray was born at 3 pounds.
3 pounds.
That was...
Yeah, because she only made half the term there.
And that was... She, the best part that was a godsend to me was... So when you have a premature baby, you get assigned a NICU nurse. And I don't know if that's what it's like for normal pregnancy. I've never had a normal pregnancy, so this is my normal experience.
Yeah.
This lady walks in and she's like, hi, my name is Alexa McCaskill. Y'all look familiar. She goes, I'm going to be y'all's NICU nurse. And she goes, y'all look familiar. And I go, and Allison goes, I was thinking the same thing. She goes, Faith Walk? And we're like, yep. When I sent that message out, Justin, her husband, messaged her because she was working that day and gave her the download, and she pulled our chart because she wanted to come in and she prayed over us before the baby was born.
Nice.
It's like that outpour of love is incredible. And it was at that moment I think back on my life and how, in high school and after, all I wanted was like a core group of friends that I can count on. And I tried to do it on my own and it got me nowhere.
Right.
But when I finally surrendered to God, that was on display that day. Like, this is what you've always wanted. These people love you. They're coming out of their way to be with you and pray for you. So it was a long road in the NICU. She was in there 29 days, but we never doubted God once. And she's home today. She's almost 9 pounds. And she's smiling and giggling, and it's incredible.
That's awesome. That makes me happy. Especially for y'all. I mean, with all the struggle that it took to even get to that point, I can't imagine. Like, I know with my own kids, the medical things that we've had to go through, but none of them were that small, when they were that, that tiny.
Right.
I can't. That's just a lot.
I look back before the 3 miscarriages, I wasn't ready to be a dad back then.
Yeah.
I wasn't saved. I didn't have a relationship. How was I supposed to lead a household when I wasn't ready? So, I do thank God for that, because who knows where I'd be right now if it wasn't for those trials that,
right.
I'm not saying that God caused the miscarriages, but he definitely used them to bring me to him.
What's the verse? He turns everything for his good to, for those who love him. Absolutely. That's just like my life. Just the, I'm remarried and all those things. And like all those bad choices or mistakes that I've made or just not following him, he still has turned me into who I am.
Right.
The grace, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that I've been shown, is amazing. So now what?
Exactly.
I don't know. That's why I'm just doing
still holding on for the ride. The anxiety still comes being a new dad. It's not like I said, it's not the credits yet. So, we definitely went through the phase of, is she breathing? Just kind of looking, and I got to poke her, and then stuff like that. But, man, I tell people all the time now, I have a constant reminder of God's grace for me just steps down my hallway. Because when I look at my daughter now, I don't see anything but God's love for me, just because of our story and everything we've been through. So, now I'm just kind of still on the same trajectory. It's
kind of not true. I lied. Not that I lied. I just didn't think about this aspect of it. So, my oldest, that middle picture, that one, me and my first wife, we were kind of told it was going to be hard to have kids, or she's, I don't want to tell her stuff, but ovary problems, polycystic ovaries kind of thing. So it's going to be hard, and we didn't think we were going to have a kid for a while. And then, kind of random, like, hey, you're having a kid. So her name is Grace. It's Emma Grace, and, we call her Gracie. So I guess kind of along those lines of something when they were small, but it wasn't like her directly. It was her getting here. Right. That was the struggle part. So again, being a dad, being all those things, what's your next step? What are you headed toward in your faith walk?
Full circle now. I'm never passing up an opportunity to share my story, what he's done in my life, and just to truly pour into others, because I know what it's like to not be poured into and not be loved. A lot of guys, just nobody can love me, and they refuse to allow themselves to be loved. Yeah. And that's like, I guess, my purpose now is just to show love wherever I go. I'm always smiling. I'm always there to, I'm the first one. Like, if we pass in the grocery store, I'm coming to you, because I was the guy that was like, I hope he doesn't see me. Yeah. So, but now I was asked to be on, to co-lead a Fight Club group and on the leadership team, and it's just like, it's truly incredible where God has brought me right now, and just from where I was, and I couldn't have. I tried to write it myself, and I couldn't have,
Didn't work, huh?
It did not work. So now I'm just, I'm in the Brothers Keepers. We have people sponsoring us now, and that's the crazy part. They too they like what they see what we're doing, and we were able to shoot a promo video recently that we're hoping to release soon. And I serve on Faith Walks. I go to Fight Club, and I'm just, whatever God wants for me, I'll do it. Yeah. Because He He hasn't let me down so far.
Man, and so I don't want to say that this podcast got birthed out of that, but it kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
It aided in the maturity of what this is. Because like you, man, growing up, I probably had a couple friends in high school. No, I don't consider them close. Like we were good friends, but we weren't close friends. I'd go to their house, we'd hang out, all these different things. But it wasn't until the beginning of Fight Club, like when it first kicked off, that I actually allowed myself to be a close, intimate relationship with another guy. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't let people in. Right. I never talked about. I was self-protection, guard, mask up, 24/7. So I'm saying that so that guys that watch this can help understand that we need community. I'm a big pusher of you need a godly, healthy community to where you can vent out those things and you can be loved.
Absolutely.
To be reminded that you're loved. I think that's the key component of it is we don't know that we're loved. We think we're not, and we really are, especially from God. But yeah, I think where I was headed with all that is to see in your transformation, in your changing of God working through you, that a component of that, or a key component, is that you've turned outward. You've quit the whole self-protection. Yeah. I'm looking inward at myself, and I want to be better. If I can focus on these other people and give them something that I got from God, mm-hmm. then maybe they can change too.
Right.
Which pours all the way back into this whole podcast of Hope Over Coffee. I say cheesy. I think it's cheesy. Tagline or whatever. But man, I just want to stir somebody. Right. I just want to give them an interest, pique their interest maybe, or get the Holy Spirit. I'll get them to allow the Holy Spirit to do something in them. Not that the Holy Spirit relies on me to do anything, right. But I want to be useful.
Right.
I want to fulfill my purpose in getting guys from where we were, mm-hmm. into a spot where they are doing what we're doing. Because I feel like where you're wanting to meet the guy at the grocery store, I'm still like, yeah, I can talk on here, I can talk on the camera, I can talk to you, but like public interaction, right. Random public interaction is hard for me.
Right.
Can I do it? Can I talk to somebody if it comes down to a conversation? Absolutely. But initiating a stranger in a conversation, that is hard for me. So I don't feel like I'm evangelistic.
Okay, I got you.
I feel like I'm good at which, you take the test, the spiritual test, right. And all that, blah, 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 blah. Which, not saying they're not good, but I figured out I'm built for this.
Right.
Conversation, teaching kind of aspect. So evangelism and giving, they're at the bottom of my list. Right. I hate to say that, but it's true. But it takes the whole body, right? We already.
I was going to get to that. It talks about that. Everybody has their.
Yeah, we all got our part to play. Well, and I don't know what this has turned into, me like confessing whatever. But I also have a servant's heart. Like,
right.
If someone needs some help, man, you let me know. Let's go do it. Me initiating, hey, let's go do this.
Right.
It's a little harder.
I think I'm good at it, or I do it because I don't mean I'm good at it. I do it because that's how I changed.
Yeah.
If Dusty didn't call me out,
right, and
do that, if my Fight Club group, if they didn't go out of their way to check on me, and plus I know what it's like being on the opposite end of that.
Yeah.
when you're struggling and you don't want to reach out to anybody and nobody's reaching out to you.
Well, yeah. And man, just again, going back to what this is with the podcast of trying to get guys to understand there's more and quit struggling by yourself and thinking it's going to be okay. Because if you are addicted to it, to pornography, and you're married, dude, it's messing with your marriage. You might not think it is.
It is.
But it's corrupting your mind. It's corrupting how you see your wife. It's corrupting how you view sex and all those things. And there's just more. There's more to it than surviving.
Right.
And I feel like that's where a lot of men get stuck. Is we get stuck in the manhood, the cultural manhood, and we just survive life. Mm-hmm. And then when we're at the end, we're like, oh, well, I could have done so much more than what I did. Get over yourself. Figure it out now.
Right.
Let's do this now. Let's do life together now.
Just let go.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And that's just the biggest thing is.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest thing. I think one of Satan's enemy's biggest plays on men is making us feel isolated. If we're isolated and alone, we're so ineffective.
Right.
And in our isolation and in our being crippled by whatever addiction we're tied to, because that's going back to earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, personal opinion. I don't have any research to back this up, but for men that struggle with acceptance, I think, and feeling that significance, or whatever relationship has drove us into that point where we're looking for feeling significant, I feel like it turns to pornography a lot.
100%. You may not realize that you want that, but and that's why that's a tool, because you don't realize, and
and how many guys are stuck in it and they don't understand why they're stuck in it. They just know that, hey, this makes me feel important. It's not going to tell me no. It fulfills my needs, and they don't realize. And I want to bring awareness to that.
I think that's when I realized I had a problem, was when I said the old addict's phrase, I can stop whenever I want. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I kind of realized I can't.
When you were going into marriage and you said I could stop when I got married, did you think, I didn't think this, and I'm not bragging on myself because I didn't think this, but I hear this from other guys. Did you think getting into marriage was going to fix you to the point where you didn't need pornography anymore?
100%.
You did? Okay. I did not think that. It never crossed my mind.
Really?
Yeah, no. Like sitting in groups, Fight Club group, and guys said that, and I was like, really? You thought that? I was like, never occurred to me. That's it. Yeah, that's interesting. Can I ask you another question? Kind of personal. Since you're being open and normal and just spilling all your business out here. What was your relationship like with your dad?
My dad he worked a lot, and no doubt he loves me.
Right.
But he kind of had trouble showing love too. Yeah. Because that's just the generations before him.
Totally I think I was going to go there. Like that generation, our parents' generation was a very closed off, no, you do not show emotion. Right. And we're going to work and we're going to provide kind of thing, mentality.
To me, my dad was just the rock, like just a pillar of that's, everybody looks up to their dad. He was a pillar. I never saw him cry. Not saying he didn't, but I never saw it. I was like, that's what a man is. Yeah. And, he works hard. He comes home, provides, and just that's what it is. And, I know he loves me and my sister and our family because he gave up so much for us. Like he worked so much because he grew up with less than what we have. So he was like, I'm not doing that with my family. So, but it's a lot better we've gotten a lot closer now because of the whole. My dad's love language is sarcasm, 100%, and that was kind of like a trial and error. Is like figuring out how he shows love. People show love different ways, and he shows love with heavy sarcasm. We get in debates all the time about
gifts of sarcasm.
Mm-hmm. So there's a new love language for those that don't know, and that is definitely proof.
Sarcasm.
Our daughter is wrapped around his finger.
Oh yeah.
He does the mosquito control and he's like, I gotta go to work so I can provide for Lily. I gotta provide for the college funds.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so it's good now. He actually comes out and listens to me talk when we do our flag football stuff.
Oh, nice.
So
cool.
Really good.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
What was your relationship with your mom?
With my mom,
yeah.
Oh man, she's a strong woman. You ask anybody about my mother, and she is a strong woman. It is great. She definitely gave me the example of living out your faith without like seeking any reward. Like she modeled that with the whole we're gonna do for it because they need it and stuff like that, and. That's just the kind of person she is. So that's where she's definitely got the servant's heart for that. So.
And I asked those kind of like how I look at parents and my parents and dealing with, I said this earlier on a different episode of going through a journey of understanding my place as a child of God, specifically a sonship kind of thing. And I just get curious. I'm curious. I'm a curious person now.
Right.
I was wondering did you see any correlation between your relationship and not trying to, you're not bad parents. Right. Please don't hear me like no, that's what I'm saying. It's just, we all deal with our stuff differently. Do you see any correlation between your relationship with your parents and how you headed into pornography?
No, which is why it kind of snuck up on me. Okay. And the only thing that I can correlate maybe to is both my parents were in law enforcement. So in high school, when I started realizing what they actually do. Yeah. Like my dad was on the road and my mom was a dispatcher, and then she got moved to more of an office job after that. And, my dad goes fights bad people when I was growing up and stuff like that. They would come home and watch like America's Most Wanted and Cops. So I was always seeing at that point of my life, the ugliness of the world. And then I'm going to school and I'm seeing the ugliness. So, coming home and watching, I'm like, there's bad people out there. My dad's going to, we don't know if he's coming home and stuff like that. Just that's really where I guess they kind of ramped up, I guess. But no, the pornography had started just because that's what the world told me I was supposed to do. And then whenever I started doing it,
again, I'm just curious.
A lot of people, that is the connection, but that's why it took me off guard because it wasn't, it just, I thought I was good. And I guess that's when we start getting cocky, I guess is when the enemy just kind of slides in. He waited for the perfect time to attack me with that because, like I mentioned earlier, I moved out on my own. I was out of their roof, out of their, authority, I guess, and had no eyes watching me because I didn't start until I was like 19, 20, I guess, because I just, I was in church all the time. I knew that was bad. Right. So, but then the world over here is telling me it's not bad.
Yeah. Sorry, my mind wanders. through everything. No, and I'm thinking about. Yes, it is bad, and the church tells us bad. But I feel like the church, quote unquote, big church, does a terrible job about talking about it.
They don't want to.
it's bad. Just smack my mic. It's bad. We just keep it over there. We don't talk about anything. And it's like, the things I've learned, it'd be better if we talked about this.
It's almost like the definition of the secret sin is like, we're fine with talking about drugs and alcohol and adultery and all that stuff openly, but for some reason, pornography is just...
Yeah. We keep that in the shadows, and we know it's bad, and we're going to keep it over there. Don't go in that corner. Kind of thing.
100%.
Oh, it just aggravates me.
And I guess that's was one of the tools was like, maybe subconsciously I was like, well, I don't hear anybody publicly saying we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Tangent. That's just my beef.
It's a good tangent.
So, again, ties into this, I think trying to awareness of things and wanting more for men. Yeah, it's out there. Don't do it. But if you, I think what it is for me is getting men to be self-aware, to understand that there are things in their life that has gotten to the point of that's their coping mechanism.
Right.
Pornography is not your problem. Your underlying emotional, whatever trauma you dealt with is the problem.
Right.
You're not dealing with that problem.
You're self-medicating.
So you're self-medicating and you keep going to this. Why do you keep going to that?
Right.
And if we figure that out, I bet you there's a good chance through the Holy Spirit working and we can help you deal with it.
Right.
And we're stubborn.
And that's really whenever, I finally confessed, and then later as the weeks past my faith walk went by, I just kind of started connecting the dots. At that time I repressed everything that happened in high school, and God put light on it. And I started connecting the dots about how I didn't feel enough back then, and that's what led here.
Yeah.
And, definitely the hardest part was the forgiveness part.
Mm-hmm.
I had to forgive all the people in high school that had, wronged me. I had to forgive everybody that was in the flag football leagues and all the people I knew back then, because I still held grudges against them for not checking on me. You say you care about me, but you're not going to call me. The hardest part, though, was forgiving myself for all that. By far, I had to, that's not who I was. That's not who I am. I'm, now a child of God. That's not my calling. And one of the phrases I like to live by is, because back then I was like, I'm a sinner. This is just what I do. Mm. But God hasn't called us to be sinners. He calls us to be saints. Yeah. So we need to live up to that standard. And that's what really, when you start shifting your mind like that, I'm called to be higher. I don't do that anymore.
Right. That we can live above our sin. We're not defined by our sin. Right. We're defined by who we are in Him, and we should be living like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how, whenever I feel like I'm getting back in temptation, I bring it to the light. I bring it to my core group that I've surrounded myself with, that they know me fully. There's no... They don't know the guy that I tried to be back then. This is who I am fully, and I bring it to light.
See? Do you see my shirt?
Oh yeah.
Do you get what it says? What you see is what you get at Hope Over Coffee.
I like. Yep. That's 100% me.
That's the life that I want. That's the life I'm trying to get you guys to live. Right. Is you got to know me.
It's exhausting when you try to be somebody else.
Because when we hide, it's hard work. It's hard work to hide.
Oh yeah.
It's easy. It's freedom when we let somebody in, and even God, like, we have this tendency to even try and hide from God who we are, and like, He already knows. But you
feel like Adam and Eve almost back when they ate the fruit, and they were just kind of hiding. He knows.
He already knows. But to be fully known and to be curious about another person is just, it's freedom, guys. Y'all, that's what I want y'all to understand and grasp is it's finding freedom in Jesus And in doing that and going, I can use words, I promise. Going back to earlier episodes, James 5:16, confessing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find healing when you confess.
It's so simple to do, but it's the hardest thing we make it out to be.
He's always, we're forgiven. That's done. Forgiven is done. Cross. But we find healing over our trauma, our hurts, whenever we start talking about it and confessing all those things to someone else in a safe environment. Like, I don't say, don't get on YouTube and start blabbing everything.
It's as easy as a phone call.
Yeah. Community. It's like going back to community.
There's a couple guys that back on Faith Walk 41 that we went as first timers together, and I still talk to them to this day.
Yeah.
Lenny Seal is a guy that calls me.
I know Lenny.
Once a week, and he just goes, "You good?" Like, that's all he'll ask me. "You good?"
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He goes, "Okay, I'm just checking on you." Like, and like Matt Warner, I've gotten really close. There's so many guys that when I stopped running, and like God put these guys into my life. It's incredible. I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to have in my corner.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gotten through this last pregnancy without them. Like, I would have slumped back. I wouldn't have, who knows what I would have done, like, if I would have fell back into my past sin without these guys.
Yeah.
Community is so huge, and you have to be willing to be open and fully honest with these guys.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to scare them away as much as we think.
Yeah.
And if they knew me, they wouldn't love me. They're going to love you more because they know you.
Biggest lie I think that we, as men, we believe. So, I think here's the last thing for us.
Okay.
And I ask everybody, what's the one thing you would want what's the one thing you'd want a man to hear or get from you that you would say out to them, that you would want them to know?
Take a leap of faith and just reach out to somebody.
Hmm.
It's maybe the hardest thing you feel like you can do, but it'll be the best thing you feel like you've done.
Yeah.
It took God taking me from the world and having a guy call me out. What are you hiding from for me to do it? And
good old Dusty.
Good old Dusty, man. And if the freedom I felt when I finally confessed, I wish I'd have done it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Find that one person. You know who it is. Whenever I say, find that one person that God's in your mind.
Yeah.
Just call them and just say, you have a minute, and just be honest. It's so freeing, and you wish you would have done it so long ago.
And I just kind of thought about this. Speaking to the community that you get into, keep the trust that they're telling you something. Don't break that trust.
Right.
Don't tell stories that aren't yours, and don't break confidence.
Right.
I'm literally just sitting here thinking, like, I'm this big pusher of community, and for us to confide in them, but we, as the community, you have a job too.
Right.
To love them and listen to them, and just
it's not a gossip session.
It's not a gossip session. It's allowing the other person to work through whatever they're going through. And God built us for community. We are literally made to be among other people and believers, and do your part too.
Right.
So with that, I'm also sitting here thinking I must be getting really comfortable doing this, because I'm sitting here talking with my hands a whole lot, and I don't do that unless I'm like comfortable, like, opening up. Yeah. I can use my hands and stuff. I just found it amusing that it struck me sitting here talking like, man, I've been talking with my hands a lot. Not that it matters, but are you good?
I'm good, man.
You're good?
I'm great now.
You got all right. Well, I think we're good too. I think I thank you for telling your story. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for transparency. I just, like in every episode, I just pray some guy hears this and they share it with someone else. it's great when people like the channel and people share and subscribe and all those things, which it is great. It just means it's another opportunity for someone else to hear it.
Right.
I don't want to be YouTube famous just
Right.
to be for the fact of being YouTube famous. I don't want to be podcast famous. I don't know that I want to be famous at all, because the more you grow, the more that goes out there, the more you're in the light and people look at you and scrutinize what you're doing. But at the same time, guys, if you want to share the story with someone that you might think that needs it. Does it help algorithms? Absolutely. Does it provide opportunity? Yes. I think that's my goal. And I think that's what I want everyone to really understand. If you like it, like it. If you share it. If you want to subscribe. Cool. I'm going to keep doing this regardless of what y'all do, but I want community to pick up on this, and I want the guys that need it to hear it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
With that, I think we're done, and I want to thank everyone for sitting through this whole thing and listening, and thank you, Aaron, for your story. I appreciate it. All right. Till next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Hope Over Coffee podcast. If this story has touched you and you know someone who would benefit from it, please share it with them through one of the many platforms Hope Over Coffee is available on. Hope Over Coffee can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and several other platforms. If you'd like to stay connected and become a part of the community, you can find Hope Over Coffee on the Band app by searching Hope Over Coffee on the band.us website. Thanks once again for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to sharing another cup of coffee with you next time.